Hello everyone and welcome back to Superboy Beyond, and today we are returning to the Superman animated series by the Ruby Spears studio. It's been a little while since we've watched an episode of this. The last one, The Beast Beneath These Streets, was a really fun concept with a really terrible villain design. I just remember us making fun of what he looked like the majority of the time. He looked like a big teddy bear with wings. Hopefully this character will be better, since this episode is called Wildsharkk and it's kind of difficult to make sharks not look cool. So fingers crossed, at least this will have a pretty cool villain design.
Well, the villain design, he is more of a pirate. He doesn't have a shark motif to him. He just has the name Wildsharkk with 2 Ks.
Oh, damn. I was hoping he was going to be sort of like a Street Sharks type design, you know.
No, but he
like something you'd see in Ninja Turtles, you know.
He's very much, think Captain Nemo in his way of doing things.
Okay. I'm not quite looking forward to this episode as I was now. But
the actor who they have playing him is Henry Pollock II, who later went on to be the first voice of the Scarecrow on Batman the Animated Series.
Interesting. Huh. And this show has a bunch of different actors that keep coming back for later DC projects. I kind of love how Warner Brothers keeps the same voice actors around.
But he does a very good job. He's very, very haughty, very, very arrogant. You know.
Okay.
Way he comes across.
Well, I guess we'll find out in a few moments. Anyway, if this is your first time watching one of our episodes, you're not going to see any clips from the episode. There's going to be no audio. There'll be a very heavily filtered version up there in the middle, but that's purely so you can keep in time with us. We'll count you in with the 3, 2, 1 play. Just hit play at the same time that we say it on your copy, and we'll be watching along in sync. So get your DVD ready. I was going to say your DVD or Blu-ray, but obviously this show hasn't had a Blu-ray. So get ready. 3, 2, 1, play. So that's a shame. I was picturing sort of a king shark looking character for this episode, but never mind.
I like the fact, though, that with the Ruby Spears series, that most of the adversaries that he has are created specifically just for the show.
I like that, but at the same time, knowing that this show got cancelled when it did, I wish that they brought in a few more comic book villains for it.
I would have loved to see what their take on Bizarro would have been.
That would have been cool. I bet Bizarro would have looked pretty cool in this animation style.
Yeah, and I mean, look at the opening credit sequence here, where we have the giant gorilla.
Yeah.
I mean, that's obviously Titano. I would have loved to see an episode with Titano.
Yeah. Why would they go to all the expense of animating that for the intro and just never do the episode?
So we're starting off on a cruise ship, and it is Perry and his wife, who is named Anne here instead of the classic of Alice. They're on a...
Was Alice a name, though, that was created for Lois and Clark?
No. It was established in the Silver Age.
Oh, fair enough. I was just going to say maybe that's why, but...
And Marv Wolfman, being the fact that he had worked in comics as long as he did, he would have known that.
He probably did know that. He probably just preferred Anne, Maybe it was a similar situation to when, David Lynch made the Elephant Man movie and changed Joseph Merrick's name to John. And now everybody thinks of him as John Merrick, and that was never his fucking name. You know, maybe it's a similar situation. Just thought it sounded better coming from the actors. Interesting accent that guy had. It almost sounded like it was sort of half Australian, half American. A little bit muddled.
But actually, that's Bo Weaver, the voice of Superman, doing that character.
But that's why then he's trying to do a voice that's so different that it's just a little bit odd.
Well,
I guess this was a low budget show. Actors they reused the same actors a lot, didn't they?
Yeah.
It's like Star Trek, the animated series.
Yeah, this is classic, pre-Batman the animated series where you have specific actors only doing this character. This is where you have them doing multiple characters.
And you know what? I don't mind it. I actually think that there are some shows these days you don't need to keep getting big name actors. Like all that does is increase the budget for the episode. I'd rather they put the budget on screen. I like Shrek 1 and 2, but let's face it, DreamWorks animated movies completely change the way their animated projects are cast. And not for the better, in my opinion. Like, it's definitely for the worse. Because how many terrible animated movies are there now where there's all these actors that have never done anything animated and they don't know how to. So their performance is shit.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to rant about that today. I easily could, but never mind.
All right, so now he's trying to track down Wildsharkk.
Some great flying shots in this.
Yep.
That shot when he came towards the camera and the camera sort of panned round him as he did. Granted, it wasn't as smooth as something would be these days. But man, it looked cool.
Yep.
Almost like a motion comic.
So Wildsharkk's thing is, again, he's a pirate, and his motif is the shark motif.
I do like his base. That giant fake shark base is just a really cool comic book design for a bad guy's lair.
Yep. And that's Wildsharkk himself with the hat.
Can't say I love the design, I must admit. It's like they just took Zod's outfit from an earlier episode and recolored it, added a shoulder thing. I don't know. It's not for me. Very cool base, though.
Yeah, and all of his submarines that he uses to steal ships are shark-shaped.
That's cool, too. It just, I don't know, it makes me wish that he was also dressed vaguely shark-like, It's not difficult to make a badass-looking shark costume, especially in animation.
Yeah. And I know Clark is coming into a seedy nightclub here, but it looks too bright to be seedy.
Yeah, it almost looks like it's just a nautical theme bar, Like it's so brightly lit and colourful, it almost looks like sort of an undersea theme restaurant that you would have like in a theme park or something, It doesn't look like a seedy restaurant.
Oh, did you see the little screw up they had there?
No, I missed it. What was it?
When they were showing the cab at first, and you see the sign behind it that says Bermuda, it's Burmuda.
Bermuda.
Yeah.
I do quite like Clark's sort of. Yeah, he's still wearing a suit, but it's sort of a tropical variant on the suit, slightly more casual, Considering how he doesn't have his top buttons done up, though, he obviously isn't wearing the suit today because you would definitely see it.
Yeah.
And I've never seen a 3-person moped.
Neither have I. I love what Lois just said. Kent, if you kill us, I'll kill you.
It's definitely a very Lois Lane thing to say, isn't it? I love that even in animation, cars have to crash through a truck carrying chicken coops. Like, you know why they do it in live action? It's just because the feathers scattering all over the place looks quite good and dramatic on camera. But I
Yeah.
love that it's even a thing in animated stuff. They could put anything in that truck. That's funny. Good line there. I'm afraid of heights.
At least they're keeping his act going even in that moment.
I do quite like as well that Jimmy is still wearing his usual colours. You know, he's still in the green and brown. It's just now it's a green shirt and brown shorts.
Way to go, Clark. You just pissed off the guy who's got you under his
I'll tell you
power.
what, Wildsharkk's costume though, he looks more like Zod than Zod did. He's even got he's got the goatee and everything. He looks more like General Zod than Zod did in his episode. They should have just swapped the character designs. Given the other version a pirate hat or something, a hook hand maybe.
I think this is one of the few times where they actually had them wearing other things other than their standard outfits. And of course, Jimmy has to be a little bit of a jerk to her.
But this is a very Lois Lane scene. You can totally imagine Terry Hatcher in this moment. She basically played scenes exactly like this in Lois and Clark, except it was usually a jazz club or something.
Yeah.
Especially in that episode with the Toasters. That was their name, wasn't it? The Toaster Gang.
Yeah.
Dumb name. Sounds like the only thing they're a threat to is bread. I'm sorry, that was a terrible British accent. I'd like to try and imitate it, but I'm not even sure I could do it. And I have an actual British accent. But yeah, that is just a really cool base design.
Yeah, there's one thing that Ruby Spears did have going for it is they could design really high-tech looking bases. Maybe the designs on the bad guys weren't exactly the greatest.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen worse, but I've also seen much
the uniforms
better.
on Wildsharkk's henchmen works for me.
It only works for me because they match Wildsharkk's uniform. If Wildshark was dressed differently, they would be completely out of place.
Yeah. The only thing that I would have tweaked with his outfit is, as you said, get rid of the hat. It looks a little
the
too.
The hat looks ridiculous. Yeah.
Maybe
I also
add
would have given him I would have given him like a giant black beard, make him look like Blackbeard the pirate or something, Whenever I think of Captain Nemo as well, I always think of him with a giant, great big beard. Maybe that's just because of League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, but still. And that's a movie we're never going to do a commentary for, by the way, because I don't plan on ever watching it again.
Yeah,
Even if it does have
that's
one of the
actually what
coolest
killed
cars ever.
Sean Connery's wish to act ever again.
Yeah, he literally retired after that film because he realised that his tastes for movies were completely out of touch with audiences.
Yeah.
It still does have one of the coolest cars ever designed, though. From a production design standpoint, that movie does have a lot going for it. It just doesn't have anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny, the shark base design, it almost looks like a starship. Like, you can almost imagine like the Star Trek animated series, like the Enterprise going up against it. Like,
Yeah.
it would totally fit in. But then this show does look quite similar visually to that era of animation, doesn't it? Especially with its backgrounds.
I would say this is like what Super Friends could have been if they'd put a little bit more detail into the bases and the bad guys.
Mm-hmm.
And the interesting thing is that, Joe Ruby and Ken Spears actually started their careers off working for Hanna-Barbera.
I mean, that does explain why it looks so similar. I do think the animation is a lot smoother in this, though. But there's a lot more just unique animation moments, whereas Super Friends tended to reuse an awful lot, didn't they?
Yeah. I think the only thing that they really reused in this show is just the flying sequences and such.
Yeah, probably. Just swap out the backgrounds. It makes sense. Every now and then, though, I'll see a new shot and I appreciate it, I haven't gone quite all the way into Superman 4 territory with this show. I do always find it funny, though, when you see like a full painted background and then just one door that's clearly not painted because it doesn't have any of the shading on it. And it's just like, well, I guess someone's about to run through there.
Yeah.
It's like in Scooby-Doo, you can tell where the monster's hiding because it's like the one part of the scene that's not hand painted and all that. I do like the underwater designs.
The only problem that I have with the underwater scenes is that it doesn't feel like it's underwater. That's one thing that you could say about the Filmation, Aquaman, and then later Flash Gordon series. They put a little bit of an effect on it where it looked like water was moving around them. The way
yeah, things are a little bit still, a little bit frozen down there. Even just something as simple as adding a few bubbles would have been like, I mean, there's bubbles here and it really helps sell the effect, but I mean, we didn't have any of that in the scene before.
Yeah.
Maybe they run out of money. This was the only scene they could finish the bubbles. But yeah, it could use some sort of wavy effect, but I guess that's a sort of digital effect that's easier to do now than it would have been back then.
No, actually,
the
Filmation was doing it in the
'60s.
60s. So
yeah, if Aquaman can do it, and that was a low budget show, let's face it. That was cool. I liked the way they showed the damage on the submarine then. The way the metal was sort of folding upwards as he flew through it was cool.
Okay, Wildsharkk, you do realize that Lois Lane is not tied up, right?
Yeah. To be honest, Lois should have at least tried to knock him out before this point. When he was so busy on the radio and pressing the controls, she should like grabbed a fire extinguisher or something and smacked it over his head. But I guess if she did that, Superman wouldn't need to save the day now. Yeah, I always love in comics though when they give explanations for the Bermuda Triangle. Like in this, I guess it's just that's Wildshark's territory. He's just been stealing ships for years, which works. And that was cool. Freezing the big tornado thing and smashing it.
Yeah.
I quite like the painting that they had on the newspaper there. And I do love that little George Reeves-esque moment where he smiles at the camera at the end.
Yep.
Just great. Right, back to the family album. Will this be a good one or not?
Well, this is to play or not to play. This is the football episode of the family album, which I think that's taking a lot from the John Byrne revamp, where Clark was shown to have been on the football team just before Jonathan and Martha tell him about his history.
Which is fine. You know, Smallville had a whole football part, you know. Can't say I love the music, but I guess it works for the scene. They're bringing up the sort of comedic flair to it.
And I like this moment here with Jonathan and Martha.
It is exactly what I would hope Jonathan would say, to be honest. So this is how he gets the glasses.
Yep.
Clever. I like that.
It's not going to work, though. See what I mean?
Yeah. I guess he's already proven what he can do, so. Still, as an origin for when he decides to start wearing glasses, it works. You know, it doesn't have to work this time. It will in the future. Now this is clever. Purposely losing.
Yep. Yeah. Which is what helps him to establish the whole clumsiness thing.
Huh.
And yet he's back to not wearing glasses.
Yeah, I wish they put the glasses back on him for that, but I don't mind. At the end of the day, it's a minor nitpick. I thought that's quite a nice little solution, and I
Yeah.
did enjoy in Superman and Lois. When Clark started helping coach the Smallville, football team and all that. So maybe they were inspired partly by this. I don't know, but yeah, that was fun. Probably the best Kent Family album episode that we've had in a while. I'll say that.
Yeah, it's definitely on par with the circus.
I'd say it might be better than the circus. The circus, the only thing that really it had going for it was the physical comedy, and I don't know. I preferred this one just
Yeah,
because
this one
it's
has a
more
lot
character
of
moments.
heart to it.
Yeah, it's character driven. It's great. So yeah, should we give both parts of this episode a score out of 10? Might as well score them both together.
Yep.
For the episode itself, I'd give maybe a 7.5 to an 8. I
would
think
go
it
about
was
like a
any better.
7.75 on this.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
so we'll split the difference. 7.75. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
I couldn't talk myself into raising that to like an 8.5. I just don't think it's quite that good.
Yeah.
But it was pretty good.
I think the major drawback was Wildsharkk himself, not the portrayal, because Henry Pollock II
that was
did an
fine.
absolutely fabulous job. Okay. The problem was the design of the suit. Now I know that they were trying to do a like a futuristic sci-fi pirate, but the hat just
at least I don't know, just put him in some sort of sailor hat,
I would have said, just remove the hat completely, and instead of having, those small boots, like the way they designed the Star Trek pants on him, the Wrath of Khan era uniform. Give him, thigh high boots. Give him more.
I would have changed so much about his design. To be honest, I would have completely just revamped the entire thing.
Yeah,
personally.
I mean, the from the waist up, it was fine. But gloves would have been needed, and maybe thigh high boots. Just to give him a more theatrical flair.
Yeah, I would have just done something shark-like in his design. Just something, anything shark-like. Even
Maybe
if it was just like a hood that gave him vaguely the silhouette of having a fin, like in Shadow or something. Just something.
Or maybe make the gloves kind of like Batman's gloves instead of the three.
Yeah, you have like a single shark's fin on each glove. Like maybe they're blades, so he uses them in fighting or something. Something. Yeah.
Maybe add a sword to him.
Maybe he has. Yeah, maybe he's got a sword, but maybe it's like those shark's tooth knives that you can get. The ones that are completely banned now, I think. But maybe he's got like a sword that's like a giant version of one of those knives.
Yep.
That would have been a pretty cool thing. Just have his weapon be an allusion to his name in some way. But
I like the fact that the tech was very shark-like.
Yeah. I mean, his base, his lair, the tech, that fit the name more than he did as a character. That's literally the only nitpick with this episode for me.
Well, my other nitpick is the way they spelt his name. There's why put 2 Ks in shark?
Yeah, that was odd. I was wondering whether that was actually a typo on my copy of the episode, but then it came up in the episode that it's not, because the title for it literally appeared on screen at one point. Yeah, just odd. I guess
we'll have to ask Marv Wolfman about that sometime.
Yeah, if we ever get Marv on the show, that's something we'll have to ask. Just like, what were you thinking with the name? Yeah. We'll phrase it a little bit nicely, but So yeah, 7.75 out of 10. I think that's a fair score.
Yep.
Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you next week. Don't know what we'll be doing yet, as usual. but I'm sure it'll be fun. So,
Yep.
see you then. Goodbye.